The Bobby O Show.
Welcome to the Bobby O Show. My name is Bobo Potzner, and have I got a show of excitement for you today. You all know I'm a big college basketball fan. You can see it by my Duke material I have at the start of the show. And I've done shows about the NIL, which is name, image, and likeness. I've had basketball coaches like James Jones from Yale on my show. I've had a lot of Yale basketball players on my show. And today I am fortunate to have a young man who's more than a basketball player, as you'll see when we do the show. His name is Logan Carey. He's from Shelton, Connecticut, where I was born and raised. And in fact, we have in the studio behind the scenes his grandfather, Patrick Carey, who will not be seen. He's got more of a face for radio than TV, so we're not going to show Patrick. But I'm really thrilled to have young Logan Carey on the show today to talk about a whole lot of things about college basketball and other academic issues. And let's roll in the introduction to Logan Carey. Logan, what is that scene from?
So that was our media day this year. Before the season, we normally do a media day. That's kind of just taking pictures in the uniform and getting some stuff for social media.
And that's University of Maryland.
Yep.
Now we're going to get into that later in the show, but I want to start off with, I've got to connect you somehow to Duke.
Okay.
So let's roll that Duke tape.
9 minutes gone here in the second half. What a spinning bucket and a chance for three by Logan Carey.
Stop right there, please. Okay. I'm going to show you folks that this is a game that Logan played at Cameron Indoor Stadium in Durham, correct? That was this past year, or the year before?
Year before, yeah, my sophomore year.
If you go back to that picture, if I can get my director to go back when they're in the huddle, I want to point out, first of all, who he was playing against. Stop right there. You got it, okay? That's Caleb Foster from Duke. And the next picture you'll see Con Knippel from Duke, that's number 7, who was the second in the NBA Rookie of the Year this year. There's Proctor, who was a Duke guy who got drafted in the NBA draft. And Malik Brown to the right of him, who was the Defensive Player of the Year this year. So if we roll the tape one more time through, you'll see that Logan Carey goes through the awesome Duke Blue Devils and gets a three-point basket, the old-fashioned way, right? The old-fashioned way. Can we roll that one more time, please? From the top. That's him on the left at the top of the key.
9 minutes gone here in the second half.
And he goes and makes the three-point shot.
What a spinning bucket and a chance for three by Logan Carey.
To 64-45.
That's right.
Great. So let's go back to the beginning. Tell me about yourself, Logan.
Yeah, so I'm from Shelton, Connecticut. And that's where I've always lived, still do to this day. And that's where I grew up playing basketball. I played locally in some of the rec leagues before, going to Shelton Intermediate School, where I played a little bit. And then from there, my journey kind of, wasn't the average journey for a basketball player, but I started going to some private schools, ended up at Fairfield Prep, then I went to boarding school, St. Paul's School in New Hampshire, all just trying to chase my dreams of being a college basketball player. Then, fortunately, it all worked out and ended up playing in college and going to the University of Maine, and I'm now going to St. Joe's University in Philly.
And I'm going to break this down much slower, but I want to get the overview.
Yeah.
At what age did you first decide or realize that you could be a guy who could play college basketball, Division I level?
Pretty early on. It was kind of one of my things to tell my family that they weren't going to have to pay for college. I knew that was kind of a burden on a lot of families, and I was like, you know what, I'm going to handle that by, focusing on basketball and getting an athletic scholarship. So I would say maybe when I was like 7 years old, pretty young.
That early.
Yeah.
That early. And you played at Shelton Intermediate School, but then you went to Fairfield Prep.
Right.
So you never went to Shelton High School.
No.
Okay. Why did you decide to go to Fairfield Prep, which has great? When I was a kid, as a matter of fact, when I was a senior in high school, I think it was, and you may know better than I, Prep had, I think, a nationally ranked team.
Yeah.
And a guy named Jim Fitzsimmons, I think it is, was a national great player and went to Duke.
Yeah.
Do you remember that? Did they have, when you went to Prep, was that a big thing that was announced about?
Yeah. I mean, Prep basketball has always been really well known, and that was kind of one of the reasons that I decided to go there. I wanted to play in a program that was really focused on getting college athletes. And you know, public school route, nothing against it, but playing at a Jesuit private school is a little more competitive. So we decided to go that route, and I think it was a great decision. It kind of started, the first serious years of my college recruitment, and really laid out the foundation. And then from there, I decided that I had to make another jump and go to boarding school, which was even more of a competitive league, and got even more college recruitment from that.
Yeah, Prep was always excellent in sports.
Yeah.
Of course, I was on the Board of Education for 9 years, starting in Shelton when I was 24, not much older than you were.
Yeah.
And we always used to complain. And then I was on the Richfield Board of Education. It's funny, I've been living in Richfield for 30 years, but I'm still Shelton born and Shelton bred, and when I die, I'll be Shelton dead. In fact, I have my cemetery plots in Shelton, so I'll never get away.
Okay.
But when I was on the board, we used to get annoyed about the fact that Prep and St. Joe's, St. Joseph's in Trumbull, would recruit players.
Yeah.
And we always thought it was unfair, so I always recommended that we ought to have separate divisions in high school tournaments. You ought to have the Catholic schools and one division, or the other private schools one division, and the public schools another division, because it wasn't really fair on the recruiting. Any comments about that?
Yeah, I mean, I understood that, but being a player in it, I kind of understood that it was more competitive. Our freshman year tryouts, we had 70 guys trying out for the team, which was a lot. But I knew that it was something that would take my game to the next level, and I would have to compete with people from all over the state, not just within Shelton.
70 people competed for freshman spots.
Yeah.
Did they recruit you?
No, they really didn't recruit me. There are some Shelton connections that I had. Rich Kelly was one of them, who played at Fairfield Prep, was very successful. And I saw him and some other kids from around the valley go to Prep and be very successful in basketball, so I kind of just followed in the footsteps and got in touch with their staff, and it ended up working out.
There was a guy I played who was a little bit older, no, a little younger than I am, Danny Dargan. And your grandpa may know the Dargan family. It's a famous Shelton family. And he was a very good ball player.
Yeah.
And we used to play in the Boys Club League in Shelton. And he would have the Seagram 7 was their team name, the Seagram 7. And they had all the best players. And Danny, I think, went to Prep, and I think he was a very good player there. So now Prep, though, requires academic work as well, does it not?
Yeah.
And did you have to have certain tests to get into Prep? Or?
Yeah, you do have to take a entrance placement exam, which I did, and luckily I did well on. And you have to send in kind of your middle school test scores and stuff. But something I always focused on as well as basketball was my academics, and I made sure that I take care of all my academics, because if you don't, you're not going to be able to be on the court. So that transition was, it was a little bit of a jump, but I figured it out. Actually,
I always do prep shows to get ready, as you know, and the audience may not know, but I do prep for all the shows. And the last time we spoke, you were getting ready for your finals at University of Maine. I think it was Saturday or Sunday, and I said, "Let's go back to work, go back to studying." What final did you have?
I had a psychology cognition class final, and I actually did well on it. I got a 90 on it. So
was it a test, or was it a paper?
So it was actually online. I had, being a college athlete, some of your classes are online because you're the travel schedule. So fortunately, that one was online, and it was open notes, so I was able to just use the notes that I've taken throughout the semester and got it done.
So I did not interfere with your grade?
No, you didn't.
I'm used to, and your grandpa's used to having what they call blue books.
Right, yeah.
And I was pre-med my first couple of years. I wasn't sure if I wanted to be a doctor or a lawyer, what I wanted to do. And if I had a class with formulas in chemistry, I'd get the blue book, they'd say start, and I'd start writing down all the formulas, so I have to worry about studying and remembering, oh my God, I forget what a squared plus b squared equals c squared. What's that? Do you know what that is? A squared plus b squared?
Pythagorean theorem, yeah.
I like that. Have you ever heard of a lady named Kitty Genovese?
No.
I took a couple of psychology classes at Yale, and Kitty Genovese was a lady, you've probably heard the story. It's a big psychological phenomenon. She was being physically assaulted by a man in New York City somewhere, in her apartment complex, and 38 people watched her get assaulted, and no one did a thing.
Really?
It's a famous, I did a couple of big papers on that. And the theory was that because there were some people watching, psychologically, someone would say, well, he'll call. No, he'll call.
Right, right.
No, she'll call. And so the Kitty Genevieve story, you ought to read about it since you're a psychology major.
Yeah.
In fact, I gave you some advice about psychology, didn't I? What advice did I give you about psychology?
Oof.
But forensic psychology.
Yeah, forensic psychology, you told me to look into it a little bit, and you gave me a good contact, a local contact.
Jennifer Champagne.
Yeah.
Who's going to be on my show next week, but we're postponing it until a month from now. She lives in Shelton also. In fact, this organization I've developed, the Opatsner Arbitration Mediation, she's going to be part of the process. But what I was forensic psychology is in divorce cases, very often people need evaluations of themselves, of who's going to get the children more time than the other. And so psychologists who do forensic work can make good money, and they also have a very important role.
Yeah.
So I gave you some free advice. I didn't bill you on the hour, and so therefore you got a free advice.
I appreciate it.
But I think you should think if you have a class, well, you're almost graduating.
Right.
Do you plan on going to grad school? What do you want to do after graduate?
Yeah, I mean, I might get a 5th year of eligibility. The NCAA is talking about giving student athletes 5 years. So that would allow me to get a graduate education on athletic scholarship. So it's something I'm very open to.
That's great. So let's go back. So you were at prep. And how did your teams do the 3 years you were at prep?
We did really well. So my freshman year, I only played freshman JV, wasn't on varsity.
How tall were you then?
Maybe 5'11".
Oh, okay, now you're 6'3" or so?
Yeah, like 6'3" now. But yeah, I was small, little freshman kid. But I did well. Our freshman team was like undefeated. We were really good. We had some big time athletes, dual sport athletes. Sophomore year, I ended up being on varsity. We did really well. And then junior year was actually our COVID year. Our year got cut short. We were really good. We headed into the state tournament. We played Trumbull High, beat them, and then just shut down the season right after that. And we were planning on going pretty far in the state tournament.
Duke had a great team that year also, and we had to get cut off also. Yeah. In fact, I went down to the ACC tournament. I'm not sure what year it was. I think it must have been 2020.
Yep.
And I went down to the tournament, and I was sitting next to Trey Jones.
Okay.
Trey Jones played for Duke, and his brother Tyus Jones played for Duke. And we were sitting down to breakfast, talking, whatever. I was in the elevator with a couple of the Duke players, and no one had masks on yet.
Yeah.
And the mother said that you're not going to go to the game today. And she said, we may not even have the game.
Yeah.
But if we have it, there'll be no fans in the audience. And then the game was postponed.
Right.
And then it went. In fact, I was the night before. Syracuse, I think, played Carolina, and Syracuse beat Carolina. We were all rooting, of course, for Carolina to lose. And that was the last game because the next day was when they canceled.
Yeah, they shut everything down.
So it was very, very difficult. So you played at prep for 3 years.
Yep.
And what made you think about going to a private boarding school?
Yeah, boarding school became pretty big when I was in high school, and it was just another way to get some more looks from college. And it was a tough decision, but it was a competitive league. A lot of guys were getting scholarships from the boarding school route, and that's something, the environment I wanted to be in. So I transferred there, and it was great. Obviously, it's another transition that was little.
This is St. Paul, right?
Yeah, St. Paul School.
If I could ask my director to put on, first of all, the picture of Logan in his Fairfield Prep Jesuits uniform. I think you have that.
Yeah.
That's you. What year is that?
That is sophomore year. Yeah, that's warming up for a varsity game there.
I'm 6'2". If I had that kind of hair, I'd be 6'4".
Yeah.
So, but I don't have that now. So that's your. So what year was that? You said?
Sophomore year.
Sophomore year. So that's your first year. You really got a lot of playing time.
Yeah.
Varsity.
Yeah.
Okay. And then you mentioned you went to St. Paul's Prep School. I think we have a picture of you playing someone who wasn't a bad ball player. Is this at St. Paul's? The Pelicans?
That's St. Paul's there in New Hampshire. Yeah, and there should be a video as well.
There's a video, guys, that you have in there with. Is this the video? No. Let's see. There it is. Stop right there for a second. If you can't, who's the guy you crisscrossed over? Who's that player?
So that was AJ Dibansta. He was just at BYU this past year, one of the top college players, and he's projected to be the top pick in the
That guy, the tall guy right there.
Yeah.
And so you left his something on the floor, that you always say, right?
Yeah.
With the crossover dribble. Did you realize how good he was when you played against him?
Yeah. Definitely, he was very, very good. But that's the whole reason, I kind of went to boarding school to play against those kind of guys and get better individually, and have that kind of exposure. And unfortunately, Connecticut didn't really have that kind of caliber of player. In boarding school, I was playing schools from all over different states and all throughout New England. So, you know, the whole goal was to play against those guys and prove that I could compete with them and hopefully get some college recruitment out of it.
There's one major problem with this picture, which your grandpa will tell you about. You're wearing Derby Red Raider color uniforms.
Oof.
And as a Shelton kid, that would be difficult for us to accept, but I'm teasing you about that. So you went to St. Paul's. Now, St. Paul's, you said, is up in New Hampshire.
Yep.
And what's the advantage you started saying about more competitive players? Why is it better to go to those prep schools? What are they?
Yeah, I mean, the league, just the league itself, you know, you have like a Brewster Academy, you have a Vermont Academy. You know, those schools are just known for, you know, NBA talent. And those are the schools that we were able to play against. And, you know, along with that, St. Paul's was a very high academic school. It's one of the top 5 boarding schools in America.
It's like Andover, Choate, those kind
of
schools?
Yeah, so Andover was our rival, Exeter. So, you know, getting the option to go there and play basketball and then also be accepted academically, I was like, it's kind of a no-brainer to, you know, move on and grow a little bit more. So we took that step, and it worked out.
So did you, as I understand it, you redid your, that's that shot again. This is a great crossover. Although you could see he doesn't play defense.
Yeah.
And he's going to be, that's AJ DeBanza, who is potentially the #1 pick in the NBA draft this year. Did you ever play against Cameron Boozer from Duke?
No, never did.
Never did. So tell me, as I understand it, you did your junior year in high school at St. Paul's.
So I did my junior year at Fairfield Prep, but then I did a reclass year, which was even more common. The fact that we kind of lost the year of recruitment in club basketball due to COVID. I repeated my junior year at St. Paul, so I ended up doing junior year over again and then senior year. And that just gave me another year to play club basketball, which was big. I played in an Under Armour sponsored circuit, which was just filled with college coaches.
That's what this is right here, when you're in the Magic. Who'd you play with? Anybody special you played with?
Yeah, my best teammate, I mean, I think they were all great, but our big man was J.P. Estrella, who's at Michigan now. He just transferred there from
Tennessee.
From Tennessee,
He was supposed to go, it was either Tennessee or Duke.
Yeah.
And he chose, why would he choose Tennessee over Duke? It must have been more money for Tennessee than Duke.
Yeah, I think so. And, you know, Duke just gets those one-and-done guys that, you know, I think he figured he would have a better role at Tennessee.
Yeah, he was a good player.
Yeah, very good.
He's going to be at Michigan now, which so he's replacing that Maya guy who was Yeah, that's interesting. So just playing with those guys every day in practice is important.
Exactly. And then the competition in this was even more extreme. You know, playing against a bunch of NBA guys, guys that are at the top colleges in the nation now. So, you know, just getting that exposure, and that's kind of a reason I did that repeat year. It was kind of needed for my college recruitment since COVID kind of
took away that year.
Yeah.
But tell me about the academics. So when you went back to St. Paul's as your first year, you were actually a junior, a redshirt junior, so to speak, or what, a reclass junior. What class did you take? Did you have to retake classes, or did you just take more advanced AP things?
Yeah, it was more like advanced AP kind of classes. You know, the goal of mine was to look and try to get into the Ivy League. So I knew St. Paul's would help me with that. And you know, the only downside of Ivy League is they don't offer full athletic scholarships, which was something. And like I said earlier, you know, the goal of mine was to go to college for free and have everything paid for. But yeah, it gave me a great foundation going into college, and college just kind of felt like a breeze ever since.
Did you ever look at Yale as a possibility?
I didn't really talk to Yale too much.
What was your Ivy school you most?
Penn, which is now my coach at St. Joe's was at Penn. So we've kind
Steve Donahue.
Yeah, we have that connection there.
Penn is a dirty word for me, because just like UConn beat Duke in that last second shot, Yale was ahead of Penn with like 15 seconds to go.
Right.
And this guy Powers, who was a Duke recruit his freshman year, transferred to Virginia, then to UPenn, hit 2 shots in the last 6 seconds to tie the game.
Overtime, yeah.
Overtime, and then Penn beat us to go to the NCAA tournament. He was a good player.
Yeah, very good.
Another guy from Penn, Robbins, I think his name, and Evan Roberts. I think he's going to a big time.
Yeah, I think he might be going to Iowa.
One of those, something like that. The problem the Ivy League has is the Ivy League is a little stubborn, and I don't think they're doing the right thing. The Ivy League does not allow a player to play more than 4 years.
Right.
And in fact, there's a guy from Yale who graduated in 3 years, who was our center this past year who's going to Providence College
Yep.
to play his 4th year. And I don't understand. If a kid wants to go to Yale Law School, for example,
Yeah.
why won't you let him play? But Yale has these bizarre rules. And
Right.
even this 5-year thing, 5 for 5.
Yeah.
You want to explain what that 5 for 5 is going to be about?
Yeah, the 5 for 5 is basically just you get 5 years of eligibility, you get 5 seasons or 5 years to play 5 seasons. And yeah, I don't know how the Ivy League is going to adapt to that. I know
They turned it down. They rejected it.
Yeah, they are stubborn
And
with
that's
those
going
kind of
to
things.
hurt the Ivy League recruiting because
Yeah.
although a lot of kids from Ivy Leagues from the Yale the last couple of years have left Yale early.
Right.
Danny Wolf went to Michigan.
Yep.
After his sophomore year, and we have Celestar.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know who he is? He was number 8 on the Yale team. He was a sophomore. He was our
Okay.
best player this year. He just signed a contract to go to Baylor
Yeah.
for over, I think, $2 million.
Right, that's another thing. They don't really, like I said, they don't give full athletic scholarships, and the NIL, is a big part of the game today. So if you're not, paying your players, it's kind of hard to keep them.
It's like when you play poker. If you're not in, you can't win, right? If you
Yeah.
fold your hand. You're too young to understand this analogy, but your grandpa might. Back in the late 50s, early 60s, even when I was a kid, real young kid, the Kansas City A's were always a farm. They were a major league team. They were sort of a farm team. What they did every year is the Yankees would buy their best player, like in September, to
Yeah.
win the championship. And I think you're seeing now in college basketball, the mid-majors
Yep.
are going to be not as strong. You're going to see fewer upsets in the NCAA tournament
Right.
because guys like you are leaving Maine. Like
Yeah.
right now, after you've been developed for 3 years, and you did the right thing for yourself, but Maine was counting you to be a star for next year,
Yeah.
and now you're going to be somewhere else for some other deal.
Right.
And if I want professional basketball, I'll watch the Knicks or the Celtics, which I
Yeah.
don't like to watch pro basketball. But the idea of guys making $5–10 million a year, hey, if they can get it, so be it.
Yeah.
But college is becoming professional.
Yeah, the divide is definitely there now between low major and high major basketball, yeah.
The transfer portal is something very interesting. We're going to get from St. Paul's to college in a minute, but in NCAA basketball now, it used to be you had to sit out a year, right, to
Yep.
go from one school to the other, which wasn't really fair because if you lost your coach, then you had to stick around and he was gone, or she was gone if it's a girls' team, a ladies' team. But now the rule is you can go anytime you want.
Yep.
And that disrupts teams. You don't have to sit out. There is, I went to a podcast last night I was talking about before the show,
Yeah.
where Coach K, James Jones, K is of course Duke coach, retired coach, James Jones, Yale coach, Steve Peichel from Rutgers, John Calipari from Arkansas were
Yep.
all in this podcast. And Calipari was saying very adamantly, he doesn't have a problem with the transfer one time,
Yeah.
but having it every single year
Yep.
is not right. And you'll see a lot of guys are going, not a lot, but some are going 1 year here, 1 year
Yeah.
there. When you had when you're transferring from Maine to St. Joe's, didn't they check your grades,
Yeah.
your classes you had? I don't know how guys can graduate
Yeah.
that way. Do you have any thoughts about that?
Yeah, it is definitely a little crazy. I've seen guys go 4 years, 4 different schools. I'm not really sure how they get that done academically. I'm sure they find some way around it, but yeah, I mean that is something that I ran into. I want all my credits to transfer over so that I could graduate on time. And luckily, St. Joe's has a really good academic staff that works strictly with basketball, and they figured out that they could get my credits, basically all of them, transferred over.
Do they count the A I got you in that class over the weekend?
Yes, they're going to count that, all these credits. Yeah.
So St. Paul's, you took an extra year, and you took some AP classes and whatever, and so you got a high school degree from Fairfield Prep, or just get it from St. Paul's?
Just St. Paul's, yeah.
Okay, you got St. Paul's degree, and when you start looking at colleges, when
Yeah.
you're starting about going to college, when did the recruitment start for you for college basketball?
Yeah, it started like my sophomore year. Actually, when I was at prep, probably like summer, I started hearing from a couple schools.
Between sophomore and junior year to prep.
Yeah, yeah. So you can kind of hear a little bit of interest there, but it can't be direct. It has to go through a coach. So I had some slight interest there, but really it was like junior year, going into my second junior year at St. Paul's that I started getting like official offers and talking to schools directly.
How many offers did you have?
I had like 4 or 5 offers, which is crazy. It's a couple of years ago now. But yeah, and I had a ton of interest, was talking to a ton of schools. And
Such as? Can you talk about that?
yeah, I can talk about that. Stonehill was one. Army West Point was one.
Army West Point, let's stop there for a second.
Yeah.
So you could have been the next Coach K and Bobby Knight.
Yeah.
Did you give serious thought to West Point?
I did. I mean, they had a really good athletic program and their facilities were great. It's just I wasn't ready for that commitment. And one of the first things they showed me was you have to shave your head. And unfortunately,
I can do it very easily right now.
Yeah. Unfortunately for me, that was kind of a little bit of a turnoff. I couldn't do that.
I took my son, who ended up going to Lehigh, down to Naval Academy.
Yeah.
And he played football in high school, but he wasn't, as good a player as you are.
Yeah.
But he was, he played sports and whatever, played rugby in college a little bit. But we went to see the Naval Academy on St. Patrick's Day weekend, which is, if you want to take a kid someday to college, don't take a kid to college town when it's St. Patrick's Day weekend, I assure you. It was not a good, but he said, Dad, that's not for me.
Yeah.
I would never have fit in at West Point.
Right.
My two best friends from high school, or two of my best friends from high school, your dad might know one of them, or granddad might know one of them, Bob Boyko,
Yep.
who went to West Point, and he became a lieutenant colonel, was in for 25 years. My other good friend stayed until his sophomore year. The day before the junior year, he got out, because otherwise you're committed.
Right.
But it takes a certain kind of dedication to play at an academy.
Right.
I actually went to the very first basketball game at West Point at their new facility,
Yep.
like 1998, 99. A guy named Elton Brand, who you may have heard of
Yeah.
from the NBA, he was playing for Duke that year, and Duke won by like 50 points, but it was a beautiful, beautiful facility.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful. So, but you considered the West Point Military Academy?
Yeah, I considered it a little bit. But yeah,
you gotta want it. My son
Yeah.
played football, and he had friends who were better athletes than he was. We had a guy who was 6'4", a tight end could have been. First time my son hit him, he left the field. You have to want it. You can't tell your kid play football.
Right.
To go to West Point, you got to really want it.
Yeah, it was a major commitment that I don't think I was, I was probably 17, 18 at the time. I don't know if I was completely ready for it. But it was a great offer to have, and I'm glad that I had.
You got the offer. Did you get the commitment offer?
Yeah, I got a full offer.
Which congressman? You have to get a congressman or senator to appoint you, right? Is that how it works?
Not for athletics, I don't believe.
Oh, I see. I
Yeah.
see.
I might have had gotten a signature if I were to commit there, but yeah, not for athletics.
I think I could be wrong, and this show is going to be shown both in the Danbury area and the Seymour Valley area. I think a guy named Ron DiCamilla from Derby, many, many, many years. I'm sure there's others since who went to West Point. It takes quite the commitment. So you had schools you're interested in. You chose University of Maine.
Yeah.
Probably because a lot of lobsters up there, right?
Yeah.
And in Orono, how far up north is Orono?
It's up there for sure. It's probably 2 hours past the border of Maine, so it's like central Maine, but it's definitely it's up there.
And did you enjoy your experience in Maine?
I did. Yeah, it was great. It built my foundation, and I really had to figure it out. It was college basketball. It was a major jump from high school, and freshman year I didn't really play too much, but I learned a lot from the guys ahead of me, and overall it was a great experience. And fortunately this past year I was able to be very successful there, and now I have even more of an opportunity because of Maine.
Okay, let's not be humble. What awards did you get after your junior year at University of Maine?
Yeah, so I was first team all defense, which was a big accomplishment.
1 second, please. Can you put up that picture of the transfer portal that we can show? You can start talking, keep going, but it shows some things. So if you were all defense first team in the what conference were you in?
The American East, yeah.
You got to the semis, didn't you?
No, we lost first round this year. My sophomore year, we lost in the
Yeah,
championship.
except this is what I'm talking about. It says this is the transfer portal. Why is it you do that? You prepare that to be in the portal?
Yeah, it's kind of like a pitch deck, if you will, like for the transfer portal, just to showcase yourself to some other schools. And so those were some of my stats. And I had 50 steals on the season, which was second in the league. I had the highest steal percentage and deflection percentage. And yeah, I was
final 10 regular season games, 13.7. When it really counted.
Yeah,
you were there.
Which was a boost, because schools look at that, how you were most recently. In my final 10 games, I played some good basketball and kind of helped with my recruitment in the transfer portal.
28 points. How many shots did you take?
I'm not sure how many shots.
Wasn't 28 shots though, right?
No. It wasn't too many shots actually. It was a pretty efficient 28 points. That was a good game. Unfortunately, we lost. But
well, that's what you lost.
Yeah, we did.
Well, if you got 29 points, would you won?
No. I would have had 40.
40 points. So tell me, you decided to transfer out of Maine. When is that decision?
Yeah, I mean, it's the college, setting now is everyone's transferring, like we just talked about a little bit. And being at a school for 3 years is kind of rare. But I knew that I kind of want to play at the highest level possible. I'm still trying to, achieve that. And I figured that after a successful year, I might be able to play in a higher conference and, get a little bit more, eyes on me, maybe to go play pro someday. So, I threw my name in the transfer portal to see what I could get. And I had a lot of recruitment, maybe 20, 25 schools I talked to, and was doing Zooms and talking with coaches on the phone. So it was a little bit of a stressful period, but, I was grateful for it.
Can I stop you right here for a second?
Yeah, sure.
So you submit yourself to the portal. There's a time frame that you can say, I want to transfer. You don't have to. You can always pull back if you want to, correct? So, and that was like in January sometime you got to put your name in? Or?
No, April.
Oh, after
the end of the season,
okay.
After March Madness. April 7th, I think.
So you have to plan for it?
Yeah.
But people kind of know if you're going, right? Even though officially the word gets out?
Yeah, I mean, a little bit. I worked with an agent. That's another thing, college athletes have agents now. But yeah, the season ended, and I took a couple weeks to think about what I wanted to do, and then decided that, we'll see what the transfer portal is about.
And so you submitted this kind of document, and then coaches start calling you, or do you call the coaches?
Yeah, they start calling me. So as soon as it opens, or my agent, right, exactly. So as soon as it opens, the NCAA clears it, and it's like maybe April 7th, I think it opened was the date.
When you say clears it, what do you mean? What's NCAA clear?
Yeah, like the NCAA has like certain calendar dates that are recruiting periods. So anything before that is considered like a legal recruitment, which you could get in trouble for. So as soon as it opened on, I think it's April 7th, I hope it is, it opened, I was just getting a ton of phone calls from schools all over the country, California, Wyoming, Florida, Texas, all over, yeah.
And how did you narrow down as to where you wanted to look at?
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot that went into it. Obviously, I want to go somewhere where I could play my game, which obviously I value defense. So I wanted to find a program that really values defense. The NIL part of it is something that's very real as well. Figuring out where you could get paid to play and where you could negotiate a solid contract for yourself. And yeah, I wanted to be obviously I was in Maine, which is a little bit, kind of in the middle of nowhere. I wanted to be somewhere where it's a little bit active, that maybe has a good alumni base, and, somewhere I could build some connections going into, life after basketball.
Actually, you'll never have life after basketball, because I played till I was 65.
Wow.
And I was playing 4 days a week, and I miss it.
Yeah.
The ironic thing is I stopped playing because I didn't want to get an Achilles problem.
Right,
That's what I was worried about. So now I walk 4 miles a day, and now I have a strained Achilles tendon. So I guess I kind of
either way, yeah.
But so the transfer portal, then schools contact you.
Yep.
And there's a limited period of time that you can be in the portal.
Yeah, so you could be in it all the way up until next season, but you have like a 3-week gap to really announce that you're going into it.
I see.
Yeah.
So what were the 3 or 4 schools that you were most interested in the end?
In the end, I probably came down to St. Joe's, was obviously where I'm going. So they were the top. Wyoming was another very good option.
Wyoming, that's hilarious.
Yeah.
They had a guy who played for the Knicks many years ago.
Yeah, they have a really good basketball program over there, and their NIL was solid. It was a solid offer, so I considered them. I heard from a couple schools within my league, which I was a little hesitant about. I didn't really want to stay in the same league that I was.
Is Vermont in your league?
Yeah, Vermont's in my league.
UMBC?
UMBC, Bryant, Albany, NJIT, so a lot of Northeast schools.
It would be hard for you to go into the main gym.
Yeah, exactly. I was a little hesitant. I didn't want to have to come back and play against the guys that I started out with. So
I'm not really thrilled with the guy from Duke who transferred to UConn.
Yeah, I mean, at least it's a different league,
Well, no, but here's the thing. He played very well for Duke.
Yeah.
Nick Hamania. And he saw a spot, I think, that replaced Caravan.
Yeah.
And I would like to have him back, but he has the right to go wherever he wants to go.
Right.
But I look forward to seeing Duke play UConn.
Yeah, that'll be exciting.
On Wednesday night before Thanksgiving.
Before Thanksgiving, yeah, they started that up.
And I will be rooting hard against him. But other games, I'll root for him. So you made your selections, and then you mentioned NIL. That's name, image, and likeness. I always thought it was unfair that for all the hours you play basketball in college, guys were getting, what, $50 a week? Or
yeah.
What'd you get when you were at Maine? It's like
they cover your athletics. It's an athletic scholarship, so they cover all your books and your meals and.
But there's they give you some. You would get some.
Yeah, you get a stipend, to cover your food and your housing.
A lot. It's not a lot.
Yeah, not much. But.
So my thing is, I don't have a problem with the NIL part of it. Armando Bacot, who played for Carolina a few years ago, was on all these Taco Bell commercials.
Yeah.
If you can get money on that, that's fine. I'm really not excited about schools paying, there are always rumors about some schools paying under the table.
Yep.
Never Duke and never St. Joseph and never Maine. But the idea of guys making $5 or $10 million, if they want to go make that kind of money, go to the NBA.
Yeah.
But the system is what it is.
Yep.
I had 2 ladies who were on my show the last couple of months who are nationally ranked women's lacrosse players. They went to Richfield High School. I don't know if I sent you that one. I sent you that one. And one lady was like number 4 or 5 in the country recruiting. She got an NIL deal.
Yep.
And the other lady was number 30, and that's fine that they got what they got.
Yeah.
It's a fair deal. I won't ask you how much you got or how you get it, but what do you have to do to get your NIL money? Do you have to make appearances and things or whatever?
So there's a difference. NIL is more, you have to make appearances and you have to, work with certain, brands and companies that are in the community. But there's also revenue share, which is just, the school, they profit off the players, so they pay you directly. It's a balance of both. I definitely have to show face and be around and active in the community, but, also I get a little bit of the revenue share that I'm making for my school.
If you want me to help negotiate a deal with a certain real estate firm in Shelton, I'll be very happy to see if I can get an NIL deal for you as well.
We'll see. I heard they're stubborn over there.
They're a little stubborn there, I don't know. I'm referring to Carey and Guerrero, which is your grandpa's.
They're very supportive over there.
Very supportive. So now, you made your choice to go to St. Joe's. When do you go to St. Joe's?
I actually go next week, a week from today.
Is that summer school?
Yeah, you start some summer classes that are online just to make sure you got your credits going, and that kind of lightens the load once you get into the season. And then, we start some summer workouts as well, so I get to meet the guys and, try to start building some chemistry early on.
St. Joe's used to be, are they still the Big Five in Philadelphia? Tell us what the Big Five is.
The Big Five is like all the Philly schools that kind of go against each other, so they play a tournament style thing. So it's St. Joe's, LaSalle, Drexel, Temple, Villanova. I think that's all 5.
Is Drexel in the Big Five?
Yeah. So they play against each other, and then there's like a tournament style inside of Philly, and it's good. It's good for the city.
It's a great tournament. In fact, you play at the Palestra, right?
Yeah, so some of the games are at the Palestra, and then the 76ers Arena is actually hosting the championship this year, yeah.
I actually was in Philadelphia in 1992 for the Leitner shot.
Okay.
Duke was playing Kentucky, and I was there at that game. The Palestra, for those who don't know, was a very famous basketball arena in Pennsylvania.
Iconic, yeah.
It was really amazing. I've never been to the Palestra, and it's probably old and dilapidated by now.
No, but it's unique. We played there it's my sophomore year. It's very unique, older style, but they have all the people that have played there, and there's been some historic names that have played there.
Absolutely. Tell me about your experience when you went to play Duke. That was your sophomore year.
Sophomore year, first game.
Did you stay overnight there at night? Did you get
Yeah. We get down like a day or two early. But yeah, that was exciting. We knew it was on the schedule. It was our first game of the year. We knew it was on the schedule because Cooper Flagg was there, and he wanted to negotiate kind of a deal to play against his home state. And luckily, I played for the University of Maine, so we figured that out, and we went down there, and it was great. We get a practice, like shoot-around session before the game, and we got to tour Cameron Indoor.
Isn't Cameron great? Cameron Indoor?
Yeah, it's a very unique place. It's smaller than you would think. Yeah. But once the fans are in there, they're literally right on top of you.
Had you been there before?
Never before.
Did you go to the Hall of Fame, the Duke Hall of Fame?
Yeah, we took a whole tour.
It's amazing. I've been there many times, obviously, and it's a lot of fun. By the way, in the olden days, back in the 90s, when money wasn't the only thing in basketball, Duke would play at the home arena of their star, Christian Laettner. We played at Canisius.
Okay, yeah.
Up in Buffalo, the area. Nowadays, you have to go down to Duke, but I'm sure you had a good experience.
Yeah, it was great.
That's the video we had of you playing, right?
Yeah.
Was your grandpa there?
Yeah, my whole family was there, and they were like right behind the bench, and it was great. It was a great experience. It was like probably my most memorable experience.
Could you hear your grandpa screaming?
You couldn't really. It's so loud in there because it's so small and compact. I wasn't able to hear him. Yeah.
I've been there several times. In fact, when Yale played Duke at Cameron, and Coach Jones I got tickets through him.
Right.
And I was sitting right behind the Yale bench. But here's the thing: I went to Yale and I went to Duke.
Okay.
So who do I cheer for?
Yeah.
So I made 50 shirts that were called Bobby O Conflicted, and I put my college year of graduation in law school, and a lot of people saw it, and the Ivy League president saw it and said, hey, I want one of those shirts.
Yeah.
Actually, that was a great Duke team, and one of the guys on the team was Brendan Sherrod. You know Brendan Sherrod?
Yeah, yeah.
Have you met Brendan?
Yeah.
What a phenomenal guy. Brendan Sherrod has been on my show.
Yeah.
Brendan Sherrod was from Stratford.
Yep.
Stratford or Bridgeport. I'm not sure whether he played in Stratford.
Yeah,
I
local
think he may have
guy.
been from Bridgeport.
Yeah.
And he was the guy who was a very good singer.
Yeah.
And he took a year off from Yale basketball to go on the Whiffin Poops, which is an a cappella group.
Yep.
And in fact, he sang on my show.
Okay.
And they were in the corner over I'm reporting on the show. And he's just a great guy. So we have this whole thing with guys from here. So Yale is playing Duke, and Yale was ahead the first half until like 4 minutes to go. And Duke got a, shall we say, a Coach K call at home, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, yeah.
And Brandon Sherrod got the third foul.
Okay.
And then he got out. Then he sat down, and Duke lost the game.
Okay.
But then Duke played Yale in the NCAA tournament that year.
Okay.
Up in Providence.
Okay.
And that was a real problem because who do I want to win? Yale won its first game ever in NCAA tournament. They beat Baylor.
Right.
And so it was a lot of fun. So having mid-majors like Yale and Maine,
Yeah.
whatever, do well is so exciting
Yeah,
for the
very
whole
exciting.
country. St. Joseph, we mentioned that they were a Big Five school.
Yep.
They're in the A10, which explain
Yeah.
to people what the A10 is. That's a pretty good conference.
Yeah, that's the conference league that we're in. So schools like Davidson, VCU, St. Louis, St. Bonaventure, Fordham. So it's a little bit of a broader league than where I'm coming from in Maine, but there's a lot of talent in it. Dayton is another big-time school that's in it.
Dayton's in it. I have a hobby. Whenever I go to a town where there's a college campus, I always visit it.
Yeah.
And I went down to the NCAA tournament one year, or ACC tournament, the ACC tournament was. And I went down there, I went to Davidson's college campus. What a gorgeous campus.
Yeah.
And Steph Curry
Yeah.
has given a lot of money.
Yeah.
Actually, it was his wife who gave the money.
Okay.
You know, you ever visit Davidson?
No, I haven't, but I have some.
You will
some
now, maybe.
former
Where's your
team-
home
yeah.
game? You playing there or here?
Normally we play at both, so we'll see how that lines
Play
up.
at home and home.
Yeah.
So you're a small enough conference that you play home and home.
Some, like it works a little bit different. At Maine, I was able to play home and home. I played at a school, and then they came to us. But it depends how the league lays it out.
Well, I recommend to your grandpa that if you play at Davidson, he should go down because it's just a gorgeous facility. You're very excited about the year. Tell me about your teammates. Do you have anybody that you played with before or played against
Nobody
before?
that I've played with before. Maybe a couple guys that I played against in club AAU basketball years ago. But I'm really excited about it. We have a few transfers that'll be really good. We have a few returners too, which is rare. A lot of these college teams don't have a lot of returning guys. But we have some key returners that were all league guys and some young guys as well. So, you know, I'm excited to go and kind of bring my experience and, you know, my leadership and try to help out the team and make an impact.
When you were being recruited in the transfer portal, were there promises made to you in terms of playing time, that kind of thing?
Some schools will make that kind of promise, but I kind of like that St. Joe's wasn't, you know, guaranteeing anything. They kind of said you have to compete and you gotta work hard, and they didn't guarantee anything, which was, you know, to some people that might seem a little weird, but I kind of like the fact that they want me to work for it, you know. So I think the minutes are there for me to play, and I just have to go get them.
I don't know how coaches can make a guarantee of time
Yeah.
to play because things may shift.
Yeah, exactly.
Things can shift all the time, and you know, you don't want to be the guy who's playing, and all the other guys' team know, well, he was only playing because he was guaranteed.
Right.
You know, I didn't negotiate that contract. If I'd gotten a guaranteed contract, we would have figured it out. So you're down there now. What kind of classes are you taking this summer?
Yeah, so most of my psychology classes are done, my common like core classes. I think I have to take a psychology statistics class, which is going to be a little difficult. But you know, we get maybe 2 or 3 classes done in the summer, and then that way when we're on the road in the winter and fall semester, we only have to take maybe 4 classes, and kind of lightens the load and makes it a little easier on the student athletes.
You take your schooling seriously, don't you?
Yeah, I do. Try.
Do you have plans? Obviously, you'll be young once, so you want to take every shot you can play, whether it's Europe or whatever it's going to be. But once you do that, do you have goals as to what you may want to do professionally?
Yeah, I kind of want to get into the sports psychology field. It's an up-and-coming field, and you know, a lot of professional teams have sports psychologists on their staff now, so I think that would be interesting. But the agency route is kind of an attractive field to me too, and maybe working for a sports entertainment agency, I think that would be pretty cool.
Do you think that if you get the 5th year eligibility, you'd play the 5th year?
Yeah, no doubt.
And are you committed to St. Joseph's for that 5th year if you get it, or is it just a transfer portal?
My contract is just like a 1-year contract, but I'm assuming that if I get the 5th year, I'm going back to St. Joe's and getting good education there and getting a good degree.
If you're a grad student, if you've graduated already,
yeah.
Do you need to go through the portal? Do you know the answer to that question?
No, I mean if you're going to a different school.
Yeah, if you're gonna, let's suppose you graduate from Maine.
Yeah.
And you have that 5th year. Do
yeah.
you have to file in the portal, or do you
yeah.
just, you do still
you
have
have
to
to
go to the portal?
follow the portal to go to a different school. Yeah.
I see. What are the goals? You have Coach Donahue. You said
yep.
Steve Donahue. He was the coach at Penn when they had some good teams.
Yeah, very good.
What are his plans? The kind of offense they're going to play? What kind of
yeah.
defense?
So I mean, which is kind of funny. He was one of the first at Penn. That was like the first school to ever recruit me and show some interest in me when I was really young, maybe 15 years old. And we kind of didn't really stay in touch, but obviously he knew who I was when I was younger, and as soon as I entered the portal, he showed his interest again and was like, let's kind of make this a full circle moment, and it ended up working out. But he was really successful in his first year at St. Joe's. This is one season he's had there. Won Coach of the Year in the league, and they finished 3rd, and they were a top 15 defense in the country. So he really knows what he's doing. But yeah, they play a lot aggressive defense. They pick up full court, like to play fast. So kind of things that work to my advantage as a player, and I'm excited to try to fit into that.
How's your 3-point shot?
Pretty good, pretty good.
No, it's very good. It's very good.
I wouldn't say very good. There's always room for improvement, but it made a major jump from my sophomore to junior year.
What was your percent this year?
Sophomore year it was low, like 25%.
How about this year?
This year was like 37, 36, I think.
There's a big advantage of doing the 3-point shot, obviously, because
yeah.
you get the mathematics shows you that you don't want to take the 18-foot jump shot. You want to take
the worst shot in basketball.
It's the worst shot in basketball. Tell me the difference, not Maine itself, but compare the what's it called, AEC?
The A10.
What was your conference you were just in?
America East.
Okay, American East. Yeah. Without putting them down at all,
yeah.
compare the difference in caliber of competition you'll get in the A10
yeah.
versus the America East. How is that different? You'll get that 1 or 2 players. Vermont had some great teams. In fact, as a matter of fact, Richfield, Connecticut had a guy named Kurt Steidel. I don't know if you ever named Kurt Steidel. He was the Gatorade Player of the Year from Richfield High School.
Okay.
His sister and my daughter were best of friends, and Kurt, they were all friendly. In fact, they played Vermont, went to the NCAA tournament, and they were beating either Purdue or Michigan State, I forget which it was, in the first round, and he hurt his knee. Oh. He never played again after that, but he was a very, very good player.
Yeah, Vermont had really, really good teams.
They had some good teams. But except for the occasional player like that and like yourself, tell us the difference in caliber. What is the difference you'll find? Is it height, weight, size, quickness? What do you find different?
Yeah, size and athleticism is just right off the bat. It's a jump. So the physicality is something I have to kind of adapt to and get used to. And like the top teams in the A10 are top 25 teams in the country. So you're dealing with schools like VCU and St. Louis,
VCU beat Carolina this year.
Yeah, beat North Carolina.
In fact, in my pool, they killed me because I had Carolina beating VCU, and
so they can compete with the top schools. So it's definitely a jump, and you got a lot of guys that go to the NBA from this league, and much less in the American East. Yeah.
So he's playing for, I don't know, it was for the Knicks for a while.
He was Dayton guy, right?
So what are you doing now differently than the prior years, if anything, to get ready for the extra physicality? That kind of. What are you doing to get ready for that?
Yeah, just taking it very seriously, hitting the weight room, just trying to get myself in a good shape and good size to be able to, battle in there and play against some bigger guys. Yeah, that's the key focus that I'm working on right now.
How do you handle education and basketball at a big-time basketball program?
Yep.
I remember when I went to college, I went to Shelton High School, and I was very intimidated by going to Yale. And I probably spent an extra hour and a half a day studying the first year.
Yeah.
Although I was playing the 5th floor, which is where you played basketball pickup games every day. I don't have your ability, but I do have a little bit of 3-point shot. And I do have, they used to nickname me, my nickname was Elbows.
Okay.
Okay. How do you get your work done? Do you have tutors? How does it work in the college level?
I mean, normally every team and every staff has an academic advisor that's strictly for your team. So they stay on top of it and they communicate with your professors. But some schools do online, where all the classes are online and everything's on the computer. So when you're traveling on a plane or bus, you can get your work done. St. Joe's is a lot more in person, but the professors are very open and understand our travel schedule. So they kind of change some dates for you, and they're very, you know, supportive of it. But yeah, it's like when you're traveling on the road, you're getting work done, and you know, when you're in hotels, you're still getting work done, and you're getting people to send you their notes if they're in person in the lecture and you're on the road. So, you know, you kind of have to figure it out, but they have the resources there to help you.
If you're in a class that's like a big lecture class,
Yeah.
maybe 300 people in the class, how big a school is Maine? It was like 6,000 kids more or less?
Oh no, it was like over 10,000.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay, so
a
you
lot
had
of
like 3,000 more or less in your
yeah,
freshman.
like freshman year, there's a lot of.
So if you had a big class with 300 kids in it,
Yeah.
would the classes be taped for the athletes? So
Yeah, that's another thing. They'll do like a live stream Zoom kind of link where you could watch the class and get your notes, or you could have people from in class send you the notes, or they just post the slides and then you got to kind of just read the book and, you know, watch the lecture. So they make sure that you get it done as an athlete. It's not the easiest thing, but you know, it's part of it. You got to get it done.
Does St. Joseph study halls where the players have so many hours a day, so you have to?
Yeah, that's another thing. Like study halls are important, where you meet with your academic advisor, you go through all your assignments, and they talk to the professor about all your assignments, and you're in there for like an hour a day, maybe 2 hours a day, and you're just getting your work done and staying on top of things.
But as a rising senior,
Yeah.
with the extra year at St. Paul's, you don't need that, probably.
No, at this point, yeah, I'm not probably going to be in study hall. But like, yeah, freshman, or you're transferring in, and that transfer into freshman year from high school, you probably need that study hall, just to make sure you're staying on top of things and getting used to the college schedule. Yeah.
How much stronger are you now than when you started at Maine? Do you measure? You probably do things where you're not looking to get the most weight, but you want to do numbers. But
yeah, like numbers have gone up. You know, your vertical, like how much you bench, how much you squat, those all go up. Your speed, all that kind of stuff, you measure that out. But yeah, I mean, I think the biggest jump has just been my like IQ, my knowledge of the game, and understanding how high-level basketball is played. I think that's kind of been my biggest jump. It's hard to calculate that, but
when I went to college, I could jump this high. Now I can jump this high.
Okay.
So I really haven't improved my jumping ability. Are you going to have a minor as well, since you already got your psychology? What's your minor going to be?
Marketing is my minor. I actually have a double minor. Leadership is another minor of mine, which I kind of added this year. It ended up working out where I took a bunch of leadership courses because I figured there was kind of a correlation with basketball. And those were my electives, and then I ended up having like 3 leadership courses left to do that I could have got a minor in it. So threw those in, and yeah, kind of a double minor, and trying to kind of be the full package.
See, that's
there.
the beauty of what they're doing with the portal thing and the extra year, is that kids are going to have an opportunity to get an extra year. A lot of the Duke guys were going to the Fuquay School of Business.
Yep.
And some guys could get MBAs.
Right.
And to get that kind of thing, you talk about, you know, NIL money, et cetera. Duke now is like 90 grand a year.
Yeah.
St. Joe's is probably 80, 90 grand, whatever. It's to get that full free ride to those kinds of good schools is worth its weight in gold.
Right. I mean, that's kind of the whole point.
Yeah. A lot of
That's
kids
the
have
whole
loans.
point. Yeah.
We have about 2 minutes left in the show, and we've had a great conversation, but I want to give you a chance to do a couple things. Number one, there are a lot of young kids will be watching this show, and you'll be having friends see the show, et cetera. I'm a lawyer, so I don't have any friends, but you'll have your friends seeing the show. What advice would you give to a young kid who's, let's say, 8 or 9 or 10 years old, who thinks he can be a good basketball player? What advice would you give him to try to get to the level you are, which is an extremely good level? Yeah,
I think you just have to have the belief that it's possible. Like, I've always had the belief that it's right there for me. I just have to go get it. And, you know, I play basketball every single day. I would say maybe 360 out of 365 days I'm playing basketball.
Why not the other 5 days?
Christmas,
Thanksgiving,
Hanukkah,
yeah,
holidays, you know. But yeah, I'm playing a lot of basketball, and that's kind of all it really took for me. It wasn't anything extraordinary. It was just play it and enjoy. If you enjoy it and you love it and you continue to play, you'll improve. And you know, I never wanted to be the best player on the court. I wanted to be playing in an environment where I needed to, you know, play against better competition. But just having the belief in yourself, and like seeing guys that maybe like me, hopefully getting a little motivation from me that it's possible.
And I want a word about your grandfather's in the audience today.
Yeah.
Tell us how he's helped you in your life.
Oh, my grandfather's been very impactful. I mean, I think just my family is, in general, we talked about this yesterday, just how hardworking we are. You know, my grandfather is 70, I think. I hope I got that right, Pops. But he's still working his tail off.
He would like to be 70 right now.
I hope.
You hear him laugh in the background.
But he works his tail off, and that's kind of what I followed. And my brother, my mom, my stepdad, my uncle, everyone in my family just works their tail off, and that's kind of why I do it. I work my tail off to make them proud, and when I wear the Carey on the back of the jersey, it's I wear that. It's an honor to wear that because they work hard, and I'm just trying to take what they're passing down.
Here's the thing about you: you are a student athlete, and the discussion we've had have been amazing. I want to thank you, Logan, for being on the show, and your grandpa for coming down here. And I'm happy we got the show both on Danbury and Shelton. This has been the Bobby O Show. Let's watch out for St. Joe's basketball unless they play Duke. This has been Bobby O for the Bobby O Show. Shalom.